Hi, welcome to SEO Hangouts with Josh Bachynski. C'est moi. Today I've got for you my big 2017 course, Basic to Advanced SEO course of what to do for SEO in 2017. I know it's only December of 2016, but things are pretty much set in stone now of what's going to be for 2017, and so I can make my course for how to follow the new trends and how to exploit the new algorithms for 2017. This includes all the recent changes with the recent real-time penguin called Penguin 4, and all my other tricks and tips that I've found throughout the year that I can share with you, my lovely viewers. So without further ado, please, I hope you enjoy this 2017 course, and if you have any questions, as per usual, you can always email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can follow me at Twitter at joshbachynski for more SEO tips and the occasional rant. Who, me, rant? No. And you can find more videos like this. All the videos that I refer to go back to is all at youtube.com/jbachins. It's probably where you're watching this now, unless someone's embedded it somewhere. So with that, here's the video, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, hello, and welcome to the 2017 SEO Guide with Josh Bachynski. 2017 has got some really exciting changes, some really interesting changes. So let's get right to that. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, by all means, just fire me off an email at joshbachynski@gmail.com. Go ahead and open up an email window right now, put my email address in it, and if you ever have questions when the course is going on, just fire it off. The course is pretty long, it's comprehensive, it talks exactly about everything you need to do in 2017 to dominate page one, and it also talks about what you don't need to do in 2017 to dominate page one. That is to say, I'll talk a lot about what not to do. Everyone talks about what to do. I'm going to also tell you what not to do. That will definitely sink your SEO. But before I do that, let's get through some preamble. So people are very disparaged, wondering, what do I do for SEO? SEO seems like this deep, dark forest. It looks like Dagobah or something. This is actually, I took this picture myself. This picture and this picture I took myself. This is a lake beside my house, and this is the forest beside my house where I go hiking. And I realized there that SEO is not dead. Even though it seems like a deep, dark forest, SEO is not dead. In fact, in 2017, it's very exciting and apparently very tasty looking. Like she's going to eat that SEO right there. She's going to bite of it. But the devil is in the details. So we're going to look at the details. And first, I'm going to go through the positive ranking factors, and then I'm going to go through the negative ranking factors or the demoters. So first off, the first positive ranking factor in 2017 that we have to talk about, pretty much the main ranking factor in 2017, is this little thing that Google created. It's a little terminator called RankBrain, and it's very important, and he's very cocky about it as well. RankBrain is a machine learning artificial intelligence, and so they call it RankBrain because it ranks sites. It's a brain, it's an artificial intelligence that ranks sites. RankBrain, and how does it do that exactly? Well, this is how it does it. RankBrain watches the searches and the clicks and the internal search termination. So it goes here from Google to the first page, like your index page, and then goes to a product page, and then watches you go to the checkout page, and then you're done. And it watches those kinds of searches, right? They can tell them that it was a successful search. Or it can tell if you go to the first page and you bounce right back to Google. That was an unsuccessful search. Clearly you didn't find the information you wanted. Or at the very least, they can't tell if you found the information they wanted, right? So RankBrain estimates with increasing accuracy what the search means. So it doesn't know. It's just an artificial intelligence. It doesn't read English. It doesn't understand English. All it knows is when you search for lorem ipsum dolor, that you clicked on the lorem ipsum site, and then everyone does that, and everyone stops searching for lorem ipsum, so they can guess that you found lorem ipsum there, whatever the heck that is. And so they're figuring out these three things, actually, which all mean the same thing if you think about it. They're figuring out what the search means, / what the user wants, / what each entity is. RankBrain works with an earlier algorithm written in June 2013 called Hummingbird, which is the algorithm that is kind of like a database algorithm that makes an entity database. Remember, they're ranking things and not strings. They're trying to figure out that you are a company that sells a product that is on this place in Chicago and opens at these business hours and has this person as a CEO, and you have a Twitter and a Facebook account. And so they're understanding your entity, and they understand what your product is, who would want it, what the product does as much as possible. They're trying to understand all these things so that when people ask Google questions, they're asking RankBrain a question. Hey, Google, what company sells red apples that's on Johnson Street? They go, oh, this entity, right? They could take those 3 pieces of information and boil it down to, oh, you want this entity, and they spit it up on the screen for you. And remember, watching these clicks is the perfect metric for Google to determine what it is you wanted, what that search meant, / what you wanted, / what that entity means or what it is. So how does this work? Well, let me give you, oh yeah, and by the way, in 2017, I mean, it's bleedingly obvious that this is the way th're going, right? Mai Oyi, who is a Google employee, she's a programs tech lead at Google, has been for many, many years. She's a great Googler to listen to try and find leaks and what Google is doing. She said, and I quote, that they're moving from a mobile-first philosophy to an AI-first philosophy. They've ditched the mobile-first philosophy. So if you haven't even got a mobile site yet, you're really behind on what Google is already doing. They've ditched the and they still have a mobile index. Don't get me wrong, they're not ditching mobile. They still have a mobile index that they're serving mobile sites out of, and more than 50% of their searches are mobile. But they're way past that brain, trying to get their brain around that. They're way past that, and they're already getting their brain around AI first. And they have an AI first philosophy. John Giandre, I think his last name is. He's now the head of search, and he was their head of AI. So that tells you he's the guy who largely is responsible for RankBrain. So he's the head of search. They're moving in an AI direction. So this guy right here, you better get used to how this guy looks, because that is exactly how Google is moving forward in the future. Now, you want another example of how it works? Well, it's very simple. It works like this. If a user searches this thing called Neutrogena, I made that up, maybe I heard it somewhere, and there's these 2 sites, Neutrogena Motors and Neutrogena Skincare, then if more users click the bottom one, skincare, and are satisfied, that is to say they don't bounce back, and they don't bounce around the site, and they seem to find what they're looking for, and they close the tab, or they do another search for something totally different, then they determine, based on that algorithm, if enough people do it over enough time, they can get rid of what they call the noise, quote unquote. And they can determine, okay, well, when people search Neutrogena, they want skincare more. And so that's some other determining factor, like you've clicked on motors more times, so personalization will give you motors. Skincare will rank higher in general for everything else. Now remember, guys, this does not just apply to local. This applies to all search queries. In 2016, they went on record in Forbes magazine and said that this was the 3rd biggest factor. But I think in 2017, actually, this is going to be the 2nd biggest factor. I think this is going to be 50% of how they're ranking the algorithm. It's going to be content and RankBrain. And yes, you can have some proof. I have some examples of how this works exactly. So take a look at this here. So this is some proof of it kind of moving from 33% to 50%. You know, it's kind of some evidence that you can see what I'm talking about, right? As much as one can provide evidence in such a black box as Google controls. So this is the Royal Bank online login. Anyone in Canada will recognize this. Royal Bank is a very popular bank in Canada. And I was looking for my Royal Bank online banking login, and I did this search. And I haven't, on this computer, I'd never been to the online login before. I'd always used my cell phone. And so the one that I've put in a square here, this is the proper one, this one right here in the square. Now you notice they have 2 sites above it. This is the page I'm looking for. This is the page that should be ranking number 1. But you also notice that because it says this, a description for this result is not available because of the site's robot.txt, this means this page is roboted out. So Google cannot go and read that page. They do obey the robot text disallow directive. That's not just a suggestion for them. That's a pretty strong directive. So they won't go and read what this page is about. So they can't put it number 1. What they did put number 1 was this rbcroyalbank.com site. And they have 2 options from that site that talks about the fact they have online banking and even has kind of like a convoluted JavaScript link to try and get into it. But you can barely see it. They put it in the terrible place. And then they have this other site, this Royal Bank-USA site, that, again, has nothing to do with me. I'm in Canada. I don't know why they're showing me this site. But, you know, they're ranking it here more because of, you know, probably because of link juice or things like that. This page has barely any links. Now take a look. Let's look at the links. So first off, this is roboted out. They cannot read the content. This is not personalization or bookmarked. I have never been to this page before on this particular computer. I'd always been using my cell phone for this. And I don't think it's the anchor text semantic that's really putting this here. Because the sign-in semantic, as you see here, I've circled, it's only 4% on the right side here. So that's the kind of anchor text semantic they have telling them that this is the sign-in page. And I didn't even search for a sign-in page. I searched for the Royal Bank online banking login. So that's why they're giving me online banking here. They're giving me these other pages here at first, right? So here's the thing, though. I did that search again a few months later, and look what happened, right? And I did this on an incognito window. I've also logged into Tor, the Tor browser. If you guys want to do testing in Google, a great way to do that is using the Tor browser. Not only does it randomly swap IP addresses, so it's not in from your own IP address, it encrypts the data, right? And it clears all cookies and all those kinds of things, all the persistent cookies and all that kind of stuff. So the Tor browser is great to use for testing with Google if you want to make sure you're testing from a completely different person. It's very slow because it's all encrypted, and you might get on a CIA or FBI watch list. But if you're willing to risk those things, it's a great thing to do to be able to test Google. So I didn't do it this time, but I've also done this test in Tor, and it does the exact same thing. The exact same sites come up. So you notice a couple interesting things. Technically, this ranking is moved up, right? It's still 4th, but there's only one site ahead of it now. It's this rbcroyalbank.com site. And so this tells me, and they've removed that USA site, even though I'm on the USA Google, I went to google.com. And so this tells me that RankBrain is even more powerful now, because the only other signal that could be boosting up this sign-in page is the clicks. Because human beings search Royal Bank Online Banking Login, they see this and they go, oh, this is the sign-in, this is what I want. And they click this and they go here. That's what's boosting this ranking up. But you notice that Google, the only thing that beats RankBrain now is content. Notice that Google is saying, okay, well, this page, this is definitely the site you probably want because it talks all about their online banking and how to sign up for the online banking. And it has a link to the online banking in some convoluted JavaScript thing. I'm not even sure Google can read. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. That's not really the point. The point is that's all RankBrain watching where people click. Either on this SERP, they click here and it keeps boosting that page up, or they go to this page and they find the online banking login and click there and go right to here. Either way, they're watching the clicks, and that's what's boosting this page up. It didn't get any more link juice. It doesn't really have a lot of link juice saying it's the sign-in page already, right? This has all the on-page content talking about online banking. And so Google is confused. Now, if this wasn't roboted out, I guarantee this would rank higher. But because they roboted out, it's down here. So it's not even the on-page content making it rank here either. It's got to be the clicks. It's got to be the clicks. And so watch. When this page, go ahead and watch this SERP. When this page, if they robot this out, I predict, my hypothesis, this will zoom to the top. Or, so if Royal Bank, or anyone from Royal Bank watching this, you shouldn't have this roboted out. You should have Google reading this so more people can find your online page. Maybe I'll email them, get another client. That'd be a nice client to have. I'm sure they have a lot of money. Sorry about that. Sorry for my terrible humor. Anyone who's watched my videos before will realize there's a lot of terrible humor. I've got a lot of terrible humor for you in this thing because I get really bored making these huge, long SEO videos for you guys with all the information in it you would ever need. So if they roboted this, if they took out the robot text and let Google read this, it would go up. Also, but if that doesn't happen, when you see this page ranking above everything else, there's no other signals Google has about it really other than clicks that tells it that this is the right page. So this is a great canary in the coal mine. This is a great SERP to watch to know when RankBrain is equally as powerful as content or more powerful than content. I don't know if that will ever happen, but I could very easily see it being equally as powerful as content because it's the perfect metric, right? Where people click tells Google what it is they want. So how do you optimize for this artificial intelligence? How do you optimize your user searches and clicks? Well, you want to make sure that people are searching for your brand. Google has told us this for years. Make sure that people are searching for your brand. One of the reasons why Walmart does so well up there is because they have 1 million people searching Walmart, typing Walmart into Google every month. And they have 1 million people, another 1 million people doing Walmart shirts, Walmart space shirts into Google. And so this is a huge signal. These are like links in 2017 and will be moving forward. Also, make sure that if people are searching for your brand, that the vast majority of them click on it. If someone's searching for a brand but only 5% people click on it, well, that's a huge problem. You have to check the SERP to see why not. If there's some scam articles written about you, if people are clicking on your Facebook more, this is going to affect your rankings, and I see this all the time. And of course, when they get there, you have to make sure they find what they're looking for. You have to make sure they don't bounce back to Google because they're dissatisfied. So it should be above 500 pixels. It should be above the fold, as they call it. They should find it under 3 seconds. Stats show that they will bounce away if they can't find it easily. And you got to make sure you have better conversions than everybody else. You don't necessarily have to have, 60% conversions if all your other competitors only have 1% or 2% conversions. You just have to have better conversions than everybody else. You have to terminate the search better than they do. And finally, whatever you do, don't let them bounce back to Google and select another result, or bounce around your site aimlessly and get annoyed either, because both those metrics, I believe, are being tracked. I have experiments showing they're being tracked. There's Google patents out talking about how they would track this. The 2012 Panda patent actually talks exactly about this and talks about your quality score. And Google has leaked that they do watch the quality score, and the quality score is an important thing. I can show you all where I've gotten this information. I'd be happy to do so. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you already know where you've gotten it. Go back and watch my videos. I talk about all the leaks that Google has been brought out on a regular basis. So what are some tips and tricks I could use to make sure this happens? Well, I would have a short, kitschy, and memorable URL name. Some kind of kitschy and fun URL is much better than some expensive EMD. By the way, don't buy exact match EMD anymore. They're not worth the money unless you're doing it for human beings. If you're doing it for human beings because human beings would click it, by all means. But don't do it for rankings, because EMDs are definitely they definitely have less. They already have one strike against them, that they're a little over optimized on the EMD. You want to advertise on social and on blogs and on TV and on radio and real places that people see and hear, and say, search us out on Google. And then they will search you out on Google, and you'll get a lot of brand searches, and Google will go, oh, these guys must be a big deal. We've got 1,000 people searching for them. It doesn't matter if it spikes in a month. That's perfectly natural. If you did a TV commercial or a radio commercial that said, hey, search us out on Google, search out Josh's Fruit Emporium on Google to get the best red apples, then people will search out Josh's Fruit Emporium, and there'll be a spike of it, and that's fine. Google sees that all the time. That's what you want to see, because that tells Google that you're a big deal. You want to be the obvious, absolute best value of type of site for your content. And you want to be so good that they search you out, they return to you, and they bookmark you. I wouldn't put it past Google. I've got some tests in the works now to prove it. Actually, bookmarks might be a ranking factor. And your bookmark or favorite you in a browser. But I wouldn't put it past them to be tracking that and see how many people are sharing you. And you want to incentivize those searches and clicks. Again, in that commercial, you want to say, search us out on Google. You want to make sure you have good titles and good value on your site. I'll talk about titles in a second. You want to have good quality and whatever they're looking for. You can have contests. You can be like, hey, we have the great contest. If you search us out on Google and then click give us a review, we'll give you 20% off your next red apple or whatever. You can definitely do that as well. You can incentivize it. And quite frankly, you can always do this as well. This is a good little tip. And I got a leak from Google recently that this is not a problem at all. And Google, as of now, as of this date, December 3rd or whatever it is, Google doesn't have, 2016, Google doesn't have a problem with an on-exit.js saying, are you sure you want to leave? We're very sorry you didn't find what you're looking for. Get 10% off this now, and have a call to action and give a bit of an incentive. Even if it's like you list your price 10% higher and you say, oh, we'll give you 10% off, fine. People love to get a deal, right? People love to think they're getting an incentive. Sometimes when they're scared in sales, if you just build a little bit more value and give them one last little incentive, they'll go, oh, okay, what the hell, I get 10% off, let's do it. So the on-exit.js, this will stop people. You can interrupt people from leaving, just don't interrupt people from finding. Does that make sense? You never want to interrupt people from finding what it is they're looking for, but you could by all means interrupt them from leaving. And that will help you out with the rank brain monster. So in essence, you want to think about where you want to be in the sales funnel. That's the biggest question, where you want to be in the sales funnel and where they are in the sales funnel. So what's the sales funnel? Where at the top of the sales funnel is at the top is information searching. It drills down to information and getting to want to make a sale, and it drills down to like specifics, and then it drills down to at the bottom to sale. So when it comes to Google, how does that work out? Well, at the top, they're looking for information, right? They don't know what red apples are. What are these red apples? What are these things? And the kind of site Google would like to serve for that is a blog site, preferably with no option to buy. Or if it has an option to buy, that option is very muted and secondary to the, here's the information, Google, here's exactly what they want to know, and I have the most robust information about it. And that's where you would name the brands. You'd name Josh's Fruit Emporium as a great place to buy red apples. and you might circumvent the entire sales funnel, or you might get like a snakes and ladder kind of shoot and go right down to the very, very bottom. The next one is, now they know what red apples are, now they're going to look for the best red apples. That's kind of an info sales query, or what Google calls a no-do query, no/do, no, KNOW/do, D-O, where they want to know and they want to do. Like they've got the credit card in hand and they're looking for the best red apples now. So now is the time for kind of a blog advertorial ratings affiliate style site, where you got the top 3 ones and you're giving a star review and you got a call to action right there for them to buy it. That's the kind of appropriate site for someone in the middle of the sales funnel. And that's where a lot of people want to position themselves, because they can't really decide where they want to be. But some people like to go even more laser focused and go to the very laser edge of the sales queries of the sales funnel, where they've already found out what red apples are. They already know about the best red apples. Now they want to buy red apples. They literally have their credit card in hand. They're saying, Google, I want to buy red apples. Here's where the biggest change is. This is where you want to make a sales site, and you don't want to blog, and you don't want any superfluous information or any useless or redundant information. You want a laser focused sales site. This is another affiliate model where you pretend to be the main company. You pretend to be just a seller that sells XYZ. And this is also on local, right? When they want massage therapy, they don't want to read a blog about massage therapy. Typically, if they're looking for a massage therapist Seattle, they want to book some massage therapy. You want a sales site dedicated to selling your massage therapy and your massage therapists in general, and booking in sessions for massage therapy. So you want a sales site. You don't necessarily want a blog. I have a huge problem with that. I see 95% of the sites I see running a blog do it wrong, and they don't know where they are in the sales funnel, and they're just trying to make a blog because that's what you used to do in 2017, and they think it's going to make them rank better, but it's not. Let me tell you why. And the very bottom of the sales funnel is where they find the actual site they want to go to, and it's a navigational query. They go in the information area. They find out that, they say, for what are red apples? Red apples are great, and there's just the best site selling them is it's called like coolfruit.com. They highlight it and they search it, and they go right to coolfruit.com. So they did like a snake and ladder right down there to coolfruit.com. You can do that approach as well. If the middle of the sales funnel is totally full of really powerful competitors, you can always do like an info query down to a navigational query as well. You can do that as well. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important for conversions. It's important to look at your competitors and see where you want to be. It's important to see what people are spending, how much money they spend up at the info queries versus how much they spend at the info sales queries versus how much they spend down at the sales queries portion, to see where you want to compete for your business. But this is the other reason why it's also very important, because Google is starting to rank based on this information. I'm seeing this more and more, that RankBrain is increasingly choosing sites dedicated to their end of the sales funnel. If someone searches what are red apples, they're not going to give you a sales site. More and more they're giving you a blog site where if there's any ability to sell, it's totally muted, if not completely non-existent. Versus if they want to buy red apples, they're not going to give you the blog site. They're going to give you if it comes down to apples versus apples, if you forgive the pun, if you're going to compare apples and oranges, and someone does buy red apples, they're going to give them the site dedicated to selling red apples, as opposed to the site dedicated to informing about red apples, and maybe you have the option to buy. All things being equal. That's what RankBrain is going to do. They're going to take the entity that sells over the entity that informs any day of the week. And I see this again and again and again, and people don't understand this philosophy. They don't understand this in the strategic, the theoretical aspect of it, and how this changes everything about how you're going to make your business, and how this changes everything about how you're going to position yourself online. This all matters, guys, because RankBrain is increasingly choosing sites or entities dedicated to that end of the sales funnel. And this is a million times even more important in local, including the latest Possum release, which I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to give you all this scoop about today. So you've got to try to remember where in the sales funnel you'd like to be and where they're searching. So it's a big circle on one end where you want to be and what's best for you and what the selling you want to make and kind of the information you have or don't, versus what they're looking for and what they want and how much, where all the money is and how much they're willing to spend. That changes everything, how you're going to do your SEO in 2017. Making a mistake here will make it so much harder for you to rank and make it so much easier for your business to fail. So understanding the sales funnel is the most important part of SEO in 2017 because it affects everything else. Everything else. Okay, so with that in mind of where you want to be in the sales funnel, now we talk about on-page SEO. The on-page SEO is still very important, and it's more or less, this is more or less the same for all parts of the sales funnel. And if you want to do information stuff, I'll talk a little bit more about that afterwards. So, first you want to find out what people search the most. And you want to find out both at the top of the sales funnel, the middle of the sales funnel, and the low part of the sales funnel. And you want to find out how much they spend at these aspects. How can you find that out? Well, I would still use Google AdWords Keyword Planner, even though now that they're averaging out the traffic. I would still use Google AdWords Keyword Planner because it's still going to be more accurate than, say, Moz or SEMrush. Moz is good for English, but they only have the one language. SEMrush is okay, but it's I don't trust the data that they have. I don't know where they get it. I've compared it to Keyword Planner, and it doesn't add up, doesn't sync up. And so if you're going to use SEMrush, you can compare SEMrush to SEMrush, but you can't compare SEMrush to Keyword Planner because you're comparing, again, apples to oranges. But you can always compare SEMrush to one query in there to another query in there. One keyword in SEMrush to another keyword in SEMrush. So, but I would still use the AdWords Keyword Planner. And if you have an active campaign in AdWords, you'll get the accurate traffic data anyway. And I would go broad match for the top page topic. Remember, the exact match doesn't matter anymore. Google RankBrain is going to translate people searching for unusual Xmas gifts is the exact same thing as weird Christmas presents. Google RankBrain is 95% of the time going to swap those two out. And then I would use exact match from your broad match list only if it's natural. Only if it is a natural thing and it makes perfect sense. You'll know what I mean. Like if it's clearly, if you've got a domain name and the page name is clearly something like what people search for, you know, if you're, don't try and go into local and make a page name Massage Therapists Seattle, Washington, right? Unless that page is literally going to list a big list of massage therapists in Seattle, Washington. What they're looking for is massage therapy at Seattle, Washington, and that's probably what you're trying to sell. And so you want the page to be called Massage Therapy, Seattle, Washington, even if they're searching for massage therapists, Seattle, Washington, because Google's going to notice the incongruence, and you're obviously just trying to optimize for the query regardless of what they're looking for. And RankBrain is going to automatically, it's going to take you out of that running because they knows that, oh, they don't want massage therapist Seattle, Washington. They probably want to book massage therapy. You know, that might be a bad example, but you know what I mean. Where it's like, where we used to optimize for what they searched for, the string, now you want to optimize for the thing they're looking for, because that's what RankBrain is going to try to give to them. And you want to, of course, watch for mobile versus desktop traffic. As I said, Google has already surpassed more than 50% mobile searches. So you might be surprised as to how much mobile traffic there is versus desktop, and then that will also determine, you know, what kind of design you should have and where you should be focusing your dollars in terms of your design, your mobile site, your desktop site. And of course, whatever you choose, it doesn't really matter where you are in the sales funnel, whatever you choose, you have to terminate that search. You need to end that search. You need to end that investigation. You need to satisfy whatever it is they're looking for or they want, and you need to do it better than everybody else. That is the most important thing for 2017. It's becoming more and more important. I've talked about this since 2015. Now it's the most important thing. You have to terminate that search. And again, if you have done keyword research recently, I would do it again, because you'd be very surprised as to how trends change and how trends now change from city to city, place to place, and month to month. Google AdWords Keyword Planner can give you all that information. So after you do your keyword research, then you want to make your pages out. This is the basics of how to do on-page optimization. Recently, some leaks have come out for really interesting ways to optimize on-page optimization. So this is the basics for no matter where you are in the sales funnel. You only want one topic per page. You want that one thing they're looking for. That's what the page is about. And you can use a search query, but only if it's natural. So that one topic per page, massage therapy, Seattle, Washington, or a big list of massage therapists, Seattle, Washington, that's fine. It's that one topic per page. and you can use a search query only if it's natural. Otherwise, and you want to put that search query in the title, and you can put that in the page name as well. That can go in the page name. And if you put in the title, I might use a different synonym, or you could use the same in the title, but in the H1 in the content, I would definitely use synonyms, and the H1 should be different, so it should be bigger. Like, for example, if the page would be massage-therapist Seattle-Washington, or whatever your abbreviations are. I don't know what they are. I'm Canadian, sorry, off the top of my head. It's probably SE-WA, probably. That's your abbreviations for that, probably. I don't know. I could take a ferry and be in Seattle in an hour and a half, but I have no idea how to abbreviate it, sorry. So that would be your .html, that would be your page. And then in your title would be the best massage therapist in Seattle, Washington, or top 20 massage therapists in Seattle, Washington. That would be the title. You know, wow, exclamation mark. I'll talk about titles later on, but you know how I do my titles, like a call to action, people got to click it. And then the H1 would be massage therapists in Seattle, or our top pick for massage therapists, something like that. Partial match to the actual query you're trying to rank for, and using slightly different words and stop words. And the content as well. A general rule of thumb for the content is you'd want massage therapists, if you're going to have like a couple paragraphs, which you don't need, by the way. If you just want to provide a list of massage therapists, have a table with a list. You don't need a preamble. A preamble will actually hurt you because people won't want to read and just want to get that information as quickly as possible. But you know, if you're talking about whatever else, if it's like going to be a long information page, you want to mention the keyword or the topic, the thing you want to mention with whatever synonyms, using whatever synonyms and using whatever different words. You want to mention it at least once every 200 words. Every 200 words. If it's so a 200 word paragraph, it's mentioned once. Another 200 word paragraph is mentioned once. You know, something like that. Make sure it's very clear that you have the H1, the heading is the title of what the information is going to be, and then the content is that information about that thing. And again, would you get an EMD? No, I would not get an EMD unless that is for human beings to click on. If I had lists of massagetherapists.com, then / Seattle, Washington, that could be done. And that would be for human beings. Go, oh, I want to list of massage therapists. Oh, okay, I'll click this site because it'll increase your click-through rate. Google is probably not going to rank you any better because you have the keywords in the EMD. That's just not the way it works anymore. And again, write for humans. As I said, the keyword once per 200 words. Again, if it's information, you don't need to have paragraphs and paragraphs of information. If you were using a sales site, it should be like top red apples, 2016, manufacturer number 84948, whatever, blah, 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 blah. That's it. You don't need to talk about why it's great. If you want to put a paragraph underneath the product, go ahead, but a sales site, you should get that product to them as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Remember, I said, do not get in the way of them finding what they want. Only get in the way of them leaving without making a purchase. That's the only time you want to intercede. Say, hey, are you sure? I won't give you 10% off. Please, are you really sure you want to go? I wouldn't go. You want to get in the way of them going back to Google and just browsing around and searching something else. Again, use the title and description for click-through rate. As I said, I'll talk about that later on. Here's another great tool you can use. I'll also show you that tool later on to see what it's going to look like in Google. And you want to stay fresh. You want to update your page regularly. You want to have an updated on date at the top. A current copyright is a quality signal. And if you can put the year in the title tag, it's great. You know, our top 20 massage therapists in Seattle list 2017. Then they know it's current. That increases click-through rate, and it does seem to increase rankings, either because the click-through rate is increased or because Google, the query deserves freshness algorithm, likes to know that it's fresh. It's good, fresh, current information. Google always likes to provide good, fresh, current information. So if you have room, I would put it in the title tag. Even if it doesn't show up and just the call to action shows up and it's a little too long and it goes ... and you leave the 2017 year off, if you can fit it in. But I usually can't fit it in, so I usually don't bother. I only put the year. And do I got any tricks? Is there some weird HTML tricks you can do? Is there some fancy dancy 2017 SEO jiggery poker you can do? You better believe it. It's not appropriate for all sites. It's more just appropriate for informational sites or no-do sites, information sales sites. But I have some crazy information. You want to rank the #1 page? Sure, I can do that. You want to rank the #1 spot? Forget it. I can put you in above the #1 spot. I have tricks to put, yes, I just said that. I have tricks to put you above the #1 spot. And I have tricks, there's all kinds of tricks that, because Google is relying on, remember, It's kind of boiling down to content and rank brain. Really, that's really what they should have been doing all along, right? It doesn't really matter what other people say about you. Is what matters is what satisfies people. Links have always been a tertiary signal at best, right? To kind of an approximation as to A, your quality, and B, what you're about. So it comes down to content and rank brain, and yes, there's tons of awesome tricks I can show you. Email me, I can do an audit of your site, I can show you what would be appropriate, what would work for you. There's some jiggery pokery you got to do there to make it work properly. And anyone who notices the HTML error that I'm noticing in this right now, if you email me the HTML error you see in this right now, I will give you 30% off your next audit. That's right, it's the new contest. You'll get 30% off your next audit. I see at least one HTML error. Bigger is better, mostly. A bigger site typically ranks better. This has also got a new game as well. This is the new sexual innuendo game. Usually when I talk about this, I cannot help but mentioning some vague sexual references with the tongue-in-cheek joke here. So I have another game as well. It's called the new sexual innuendo game, and yes, you can win 30% off your next audit if you give me whatever HTML errors you found in the last one, and this is not cumulative, and or if you count off the number of sexual innuendos I have in this section and send that to me and put in the comments, I will give you 30% off your next SEO audit. That's right. Yeah, so that's there you go. So let's see who can do the best. So bigger is better. Bigger sites are typically better. If you get more pages, typically equals more rankings. You have more pages to rank, and there does seem to be like a domain rank where bigger pages kind of generate their own internal page rank, like just like they used to actually in like 2001. You get a PageRank 3 site just from making a properly linked site. But internal pages do generate PageRank out of nothingness. And so they do seem to very mutedly generate PageRank, and a bigger site seems to be bigger to rank brain because it seems to be a quality signal. But I have a big asterisk beside that, and I'm going to talk about that afterwards. That's very important. Just don't listen to that and go, oh great, I should make 10,000 fluff pages. Don't do that. And it's true that you definitely want more links to your top pages and index page links to your top pages. So if you have 5 or 6 pages you want are the most important ranking pages for you, not only should they have the most links on the entire site internally, but they should have links from your index page in the content preferably, or on a footer, a sidebar, or the top navigation, whatever. And they should have special links from the index page linking to those pages saying, hey, if you're looking for our Red Apples 2016, it's here, and Red Apples 2016 would be the link. But we also have red bananas and purple dragon fruit, whatever it is. And those links would be right there on the index page. And finally, remember, if you lose pages, you are going to lose rankings. So here's something, including URL parameters. So there's a number of issues here. One, if you have 100,000 pages, let's say you listen to my more pages equals more rankings, you made it 10,000 fluff pages in your site, and suddenly your site tanks, or you got a Panda penalty because of this. If you delete those pages, yeah, you're going to get some of your rankings back, but you're going to lose all the rankings that those 10,000 pages may have had, and you're going to lose all the domain juice that you got from it. So you don't. It's like a terrible thing of adding pages and you remove them and you think, why didn't you get my ranks back? Well, because we deleted 10,000 pages. You're not a big site anymore. And the same thing goes for URL parameters. If you have URL parameters of like pink shoes, red shoes, blue shoes of the same brand of Nike, Google can automatically, and probably already has, decided to collapse all those pages into one canonical version, and you're going to lose those rankings in those pages as well. A lot of the 2011, 2012 Panda hits people thought they were getting was actually that happening right there. But here's the idea. You only want more pages and rankings only if you can maintain the quality, or you can concoct reasons for each page. Sorry. Only if you can dream up reasons for each page existing. That's the only reason why. If you can't please them, don't try. If you can't please Google with your ginormous site, then don't try to do so. At the end of the day, you only want to be laser focused to that end of the sales funnel that you're trying to be in. You don't want to try and squeeze in the tight end of the sales funnel. You don't want to try and squeeze in the tight end of the sales funnel if you have too big a site, a too big informational site. Only a smaller sales site is supposed to go in there. I apologize. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So SERP click-through rate. The SERP click-through rate is very, very important. So the SERP is the search engine results pages, the Google search page. CTR stands for click-through rate, and it matters. Why does it matter? Because you get more traffic now, right? I say this every year, but guys, you're not listening. You're not trying to boost your click-through rate. I do hundreds of audits a year, and some people do. I see people have been listening to my videos because they always have a Josh-style title tag, right? Which is great. It's fantastic, and their click-through rate's usually boosted up. But you get more traffic now for getting click-through rates. You don't have to worry about your rankings. If you can get 1 or 2 or 3% extra more click-through rate, you're getting more traffic now. And Google's going to look at you as a ranking factor and probably rank you a little bit higher. And you want a better title and description. The better your title and description, the better you're going to get conversions, the more you're going to convert, and the better Panda defense you have. The more you're going to block dissatisfied people from going to your site and going back. If your title and description tells them exactly what they're going to get, and then your page gives them exactly what your title and description said they were going to get, then people are happy, they get exactly what they want. People who are just looking around and don't know what they want don't click on you. And people who know what they want click on you with more confidence, more often, purchase more often, you make more sales. So that's all better from a sales perspective, it's better from a business perspective, and it's better from a rank brain perspective. And as I said, it seems like a click-through rate, if you boost the click-through rate, you can boost up the rankings either temporarily or permanently, as long as they don't bounce back. Okay, so how do I do this? Well, if you want to find your click-through rate, you can find it in Search Console, in Search Analytics, and click the click-through rate, the CTR button. I have a video explaining exactly how to do that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/jbachynski. You want to check on how it looks. You want to use the Google SERP emulator that I already mentioned earlier. You can go back in the video, or you can email me, I can send it to you. And you want to differentiate yourself. If they look like this, a really ye olde kind of SEO title, which no one should look like this anymore, by the way. You know, red apples, pipe, red apple, pipe, they're trying to put all the keywords in there, which you don't need to do anymore. You definitely don't need to do that anymore. Google Rank Brain knows what red apples and red apple is. They're ranking the thing, not the string. So you want to best promote the thing and not try to optimize for strings. Optimize the thing, not the strings. So you want to stand out with a title like this. Wow, get top red apples. There's a call to action. You can get the best apples for low prices, free delivery, visit today. It's got a call to action. It uses capitals. It has asterisks. It stands out. It gives incentives as why they want to do it. It uses has a call to action, as I said, get top red apples. You always use the power words you, free, now, new, and because. This has scientifically been proven to boost your conversions and boost your click-through rates because those words are psychological power words, are like spells that are cast on people that psychologically make them click and buy more. So I strongly recommend you use it, and you will definitely make more sales and probably get a little bit of rankings out of it. Local. So this is a beautiful local street. I don't know where this is. I'll also give 30% off an SEO audit for anyone who can tell me where this is. I'm betting it's somewhere in Europe. Okay, so for local for 2017, this is very important. I'm also going to include the Possum information, the recent Possum update here, which decimated a lot of people. So, 1, enhanced listing is your friend. Get a Google business photographer to do a 360-degree enhanced listing of your site, where he or she comes in and takes a video of your front foyer, as long as you have a reputable business. Get them to do a 360-degree tour of that. And I would even use that as a branding piece. I would have 3 people standing there. They're going to blur out the faces, but if it's a doctor's office, for example, or a chiropractor or a dentist, literally have a person standing there with a doctor's coat on, shaking the hand of a woman with a man and a child, and it's a commercial. It's a piece of branding that you can put on Google forever, and you only have to pay for once, and it's there forever. Right? So whoever looks at 360-degree tour sees that, oh, they're a great dentist. It just, whatever picture they're supposed to have in their head for the ideal service of whatever it is you do, make sure that's a great piece of branding and you do it. Before you do it, email me and I'll tell you the tips and the things you need to do before that to make sure it's all set up properly. And you will rank better because of this. This is also for ranking as well. You will convert better and you will rank better. You want to maximize your map listings. This is the same deal. You want to make sure your keywords are in there. You actually select your 3 categories of what you actually do. Don't spam up those categories. If you have free parking, list it. If you want to put a video there, put it on there. The more you put in there, the better you will rank. Have a quality site, task completion. So it's in red. That means pertaining especially to Possum. Sites that complete the task, that do it best, are the ones that you want. and that are gonna, Possum is just like Panda, is just like RankBrain, but for local. And so people, people will be looking for, whatever massage therapy, Seattle, Washington. You want to be the site that has the best click-through rate for that and the best task completion for that. I have a story about that I'll tell you in a second. You want to have multiple good reviews from the Better Business Bureau, local forums, blogs, Google+, Yelp, Facebook, and Amazon now has an Amazon service listings page. You want to have good reviews and a good number of views. For all this is super, super important for rankings. You want to be mobile optimized. You'll be very surprised. Many local sites, there's 60 to 70% of their traffic is from mobile. You got to watch the usage and make sure if you have mobile people coming to you on mobile, that it's got to be mobile optimized. And local, you'll see this far more than you will in any other one. Finally, you want to have a clickable business name. So these last two ones are very, very difficult. You may not be able to do this to start. So you want to have a clickable business name to start off. That's very, very important. You want to be located where the main demographic is. And again, those things are in red, so again, those things also pertain to the Possum algorithm as well. For example, Google, with Possum, they used to stupidly break it down per, like, if you were in, I grew up in Winnipeg, so I'll use a Winnipeg example. If you were in Fort Garry, but right beside it in Fort Rouge was the break place, but they'd show you something, a number of kilometers away as opposed to just across the street in Fort Rouge, there's this break place. Possum changed all that, so it'll show you whatever is geographically closer to you when you're searching. So one district is beside another. They'll only show you from that district, but now they'll show you whatever's geographically closest. So that's why you want to be located where the main demographic is. Wherever your main population base is that's going to look for your service, you want to be right smack dab in the middle there if possible. But of course, that's difficult if you already have a business and you decided to get office space way out in the boonies because it was cheaper. Okay, well, now you have a problem. You're saving on office space, on rent, but at the same time, you're not going to rank as well. So you've got to make sure that Google's not going to be your main traffic source, or you're going to have to do way more. You have to really do really well on these other points to make sure you get the traffic. The second one here, have a clickable business name to start. So speaking of massage, speaking of massage therapy, I had a client in Seattle who did do massage therapy, and they called themselves, I think it was Fusion Spa or something like that, and they were ranking number one in Seattle, but they only had like 5% click-through rate. I'm like, well, why is this? And it's because they didn't have massage therapy anywhere. They were ranking number one for massage therapy, but they didn't have it anywhere in their name, right? Whereas all their competitors that said massage therapy Seattle and best massage therapy Seattle, they were getting all the click-through rate. That's what their competitors were called. And so that's why you want to have a clickable business name to start. They had a number one ranking, but they're only getting 5% click-through rate. Because people you only have 3 neurons. They're watching Dancing with the Stars and The Bachelor at the same time, and playing Scrabble on their phone and trying to book their massage therapy, trying to find a new massage therapist, right, for tomorrow. You've only got 3 of the 3 neurons they have to do that task. You've only got like 1.5% of it. So it's got to be bleedingly obvious. They're not paying attention. They are Homer Simpsons with a cell phone not paying attention. So you've got to make it bleedingly obvious that, hey, you want massage therapy in Seattle? That's what the business is called. We're called Massage Therapy Seattle. Don't underestimate the human, not only having the keywords in the title for Google, but more importantly, having the keywords in the title for human beings is the most important thing. If you can make those changes, I would suggest to do so. Social. You want to get the social buzz going. Social is increasingly important in 2017, and Google has also admitted that they're moving in this direction of pretty soon they're going to have to be using unlinked citations for search rankings. That means text mentions and URL mentions just in text, including social shares and blog discussions and Reddit discussions and things like that, are going to help you rank, and Google has already admitted it. And when they say, in the future we might have to do this, that means we're already doing it. We've tested it, we're already doing it. Gary Ilyish and John Mueller and Andrew Lepassev, these guys are not allowed to, and all the other webmaster trends analysts who do all the other stuff in other languages, they are not allowed to mention it unless it's already on the table, right? So that's when they're allowed to mention it, when it's on the table, before it be written in stone, and then they're not allowed to mention it anymore. So this is throwing you a bone. So I would pay very close attention to that in the future. So what other social signals are important? Well, these are the ones that we've tested, and these are the ones that we show again and again have important. 1, you want activity on your linked profiles. So first off, on your index page, you want to have links out to your social pages. And your social pages, you want in the website field, you want them to have the website linking back to your website, and you want to have a lot of activity. It's got to be a party. It's got to look like this party on your social channel. People laughing, talking, chatting, liking, plus oneing, retweeting, all those kinds of things. This is what you want your social party to look like. And the profile, you want it to be linked from your webpage and to your webpage. And you want to try and go viral. You want to post share-worthy content that they go crazy. You get 250 likes or whatever, or favorites or retweets. You can do a brainstorming session to find out what that is. I have special ways of doing that. I've also made videos about that. Contact me if you want more information about how to make viral share-worthy content. If your social pages sound like, are like tumbleweeds, like Westworld without the sexy robots. If your social pages are like that right now, tumbleweeds blowing through, email me and we can come. So you can dream up some ways that we can make it interesting and cool, and people are going to want to take part and be involved, because that is definitely a good signal. Whenever we do this for clients, they get some spots ranking, and it's a good trust signal, especially if you're in the affiliate niches and stuff like that. When you stop doing it, we always see rankings go down. So it's definitely something that's going to help out. And again, you want to engage and comment and talk to them. You don't want to sell there, and you don't want to auto post, because that's boring. It's boring. People don't like it. They typically don't like to see it. If you auto post really cool stuff, then maybe it's fine. But otherwise, you definitely don't want to sell them. It's like going to this party and saying, "Hey, I sell cars, and just chucking your credit card, your business card at these girls, saying, "I sell cars, I sell cars, I sell cars." How well do you think they're going to respond to that, even if they're in the market for a car? Probably not so well. They're going to be, "Get out of here, dude. We're dancing just with our friends. We're having so much fun." That's what's going to happen. They're not going to buy cars from you. They're going to leave the party if you keep doing it. Also, you want to get clicks from social. So that's the reason why you want to have this interesting information and clickbait style information for them to click on your social to go to your site, because I have Black Hats confirming this, and I have Google accidentally leaked this. It was very funny when they did. That clicks from social are definitely stuff that they're tracking, and you got people like Alex Becker confirming this. That clicks from social is definitely a signal that they're tracking. You can rank sites on this alone, and Alex Becker has shown how you rank sites on this alone. I can show the white hat ways of doing this that are not going to eventually get caught and eventually get you penalties. Shares of your pages. You definitely want shares of your pages. I have Pinterest in red here. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Disquist, Reddit, all the big social networks, all the medium-sized social networks. You want people sharing your pages. Even if it's not a do follow link, you still want this. You still want no follow links. You still want them sharing your page, talking about you, even text mentions, as Google mentioned. Gary Ilyash recently admitted to Danny Sullivan, we're going to be tracking this soon. Why? Because no one's making links anymore. Over 50% of their traffic comes from mobile. No one is opening up an HTML editor on their mobile phone and giving you a link. It just doesn't happen anymore. When does your mom do this? Never. But they're sharing stuff all the time, so Google's got to move with the trends, and so do you. I have Pinterest in red here because I'm seeing really good things happen when someone buys a lot of Pinterest links. When they do a Pinterest ad and they get their pins reshared on all the different Pinterest sites, you can get 30,000, 40,000 links out of that. They're probably all no follow, but it doesn't matter. It's still a huge signal telling Google that you're of quality because you've got so many links from such a quality site. So again, that's definitely something you can take a look at. You want to get buzz from the experts. You can use the tool BuzzSumo to find out who's an expert in your field, and you can reach out to them and say, "Hey, I wrote this article on this," or "Hey, I did this," or "Hey," and try to get the experts talking about you. That definitely seems to have an effect of showing how you're great. And yeah, that's what I mean. So reach out and get the experts talking about you. Links. The terrible, dreaded links chained to your wrists, holding you down and back. The ROI is ever decreasing for ye olde style linking. The return on investment is getting worse and worse and worse for links. Yes, they still quote unquote work, but it's like saying, does a hammer work? Yes, well, a nail gun works too, and so does a screwdriver, and so does a wrench, and so does many other tools. It's just one tool. And it may not be the best tool in terms of ROI. And that's what I've been saying for years, and it's getting worse every year. Let me explain. These are the kind of links that Google will continue to trust. Links from a high authority site like news, and from a charity site, those real business. You don't want links where everyone else is. You'd want a main content link. You'd want the anchor to have natural stop words, like instead of buy red apples, I'd want a good site for fruit, or it's a great resource, or something along those lines. You want the appropriate amount of links. If everyone else has 1,000 links, you don't want to have 100,000 because that's a dead giveaway that there's some manipulation has gone on there. And whatever you do, you don't want to match the current SEO spam patterns. What are those? Well, these are the kind of links that they 98% devalue. They don't ignore them anymore, they devalue them. I changed that very specifically. I'm going to be talking about that in a second. These are like any kind of links from a new blog that SE Nuke or GSA is going to get you. Any kind of link from a manual post site that you can log in, anyone can log in anonymously and post. Any kind of link from a multi-topic site that, they've got an article on chiropractor, then law, then mechanics, then whatever. You do not want a link from this kind of site. It screams placed, it screams bought, it screams automatically purchased and put there. Including any press release, directories, articles, that's all dead. It's all, I mean, everyone should know this by now. This is long dead. Dead, dead, dead. You don't want any followed sidebar or footer links. That could get you some manual trouble. I'll talk about that in a second. That's the kind of stuff you want to avoid if at all possible, is what I'm saying. You don't want any comments, social bookmarks, forum profiles. And I would not ever go higher than 8% exact match query or for commercial do follow anchors. Even if it's in URL, it doesn't matter. If my URL is buyredapples.com, I can't have 90% of my links be buy red apples. Not if I want to rank for buy red apples or anything with red apples in it, because then I won't. I can guarantee to you, you will not do that. That will not work. So I've talked a lot about links. You can go back and watch my videos. I've ranted about it. Let me just say a couple more things. This is what's really scary in 2017. In 2017, your black hat backlinks are going to need to pass a manual review. Why? I'll explain that. Finally, links are a risky signal. I'm not saying they don't work. You want to try to rank on the other safer signals first. And then if you can get there without having to incur that risk of more risky link buying, then that's a much safer thing for you to do. Remember, if you can show them that you are the site for whatever XYZ topic, then the more you're going to rank for XYZ. And in 2017, this is how it works now. You want all this traffic on the left stuff to be going from, not only Google, but from all these social sites as well. You want it to be going to your page, which is about a certain thing, made in a certain way with all the keywords in the places you want it. On an awesome site, if it's bigger, that's better, but for the sales site, I would be laser focused to just the end of the sales funnel. But you have a big e-commerce site, that would work as well, right? That's how you have a big sales site, is you sell a lot of different stuff. And then you have all the topical references, do follow, no follow links, all the social shares talking about you, all the social profile, having that party and talking and being really happy, and all the ratings and reviews from all different places. That's how you want to rank in 2017. Sounds pretty easy, huh? But you'd be like this guy right here with stacks of money and drinking champagne. Well, unfortunately, Google does have some demoters and some negative ranking factors, and so I'll go through those now. If you're tired, now's a good time to pause it and come back to the video later, and I'll talk about the negative ranking factors for probably about the same time I've been talking already. And so without further ado, I'll get right to that. These are the negative ranking factors that are going to get in the way of doing all those things that you try to do above. And the first one, of course, is the cuddly Panda. The Panda core algorithm, as they're calling it now, is still the biggest demoting ranking factor, the biggest demoting algorithm moving forward. It is based on two separate things. It is based on usage metrics and on-site factors. They actually have a collection of quality algorithms. Not all of them they've named. And then sometimes we call them the same thing. In the industry, we call them Panda. So I'm just calling all the quality algorithms Panda. But they would probably have different names for them internal. But Panda is what the quality algorithms are what's going to sync you. And I have John Mueller as recently as November 14th of this year, 2016, confirming that it's both usage metrics and on-site factors. You can find a complete list of the on-site factors on my website here, themoralconcept.net/pandalist.html. I also have a short list for you, but you can find the full list there that I went in the last few years, and I collected all of the leaks from Google, from every single Googler and every single source of all the different quality factors that they thought were low quality or spammy, and I made a big giant list of them. So that'll tell you what Google thinks is low quality and spammy. Remember that the Panda core algorithm is automatically updating in 2017. It's not real time in the sense that it doesn't work on a per second to second basis, but it is real time and it's automatically updating. They don't apparently they don't have to make a manual push anymore. At least that's what they told us. That means it's going to be variable for each site, niche, and depending on your traffic flow. So don't wait for Barry Schwartz to say there seems to be a disturbance in the force and different websites are talking about this being a problem, and so we think it's a Panda update. It doesn't work like that anymore. Every site's going to be hit at a different time by Panda, depending on how you've been crawled and your traffic. And let me tell you exactly how that works. The on-page stuff, John Mueller has gone and admitted in a giant leak he gave last year, actually, the very end of last year, December 29th, 2015. He admitted when a pretty girl asked him, so it pays to be a pretty charming young lady when asking John Mueller questions, and probably in many other aspects in life, I'm sure, that there's different kinds of quality algorithms. The on-page ones, they're the kind that I listed on my Panda list.html, those kinds of ones, that they would either demote you or they could be lifted 5 to 10 days after crawl, he said. 5 to 10 days after that page is crawled, it'll be processed, and then those quality factors that are just static quality factors that are on your page that will either demote you or not, and these ones demote, that'll happen 5 to 10 days after crawl. The other one, the core Panda algorithm, is again user click based. It's rank brain. Rank brain and Panda are the same thing. If you took off all this fur off the Panda face, you'd see that Terminator skeleton underneath. The Panda core algorithm and rank brain were all released at the same time and are all the same thing, right? And so this one actually promotes, technically speaking, it rewards the one that has the best quality score relative to all the other quality scores. And how quickly does it update? Well, John Mueller admitted in December 29, 2015, that it would be 3 or 4 times a year, going up to monthly, going up to weekly. The more traffic you have and the more time that passes, the more Google can make educated guesses about whether the user clicks are telling them that your site is terminating the search better and you have a better quote-unquote quality score than everybody else. And so it depends on how much traffic. If you only get 10 searches a month, it's going to take a long time. It could take a long time. If you get tens of thousands of searches a month, and then Google, as long as it's not noisy, however long it takes Google to extract the noise and however long they feel confident that they've got enough information they can make a guess, then they will do that. And by the way, guys, if they don't feel confident they can make a guess, then they won't. So that's why whatever Google says, and you'll notice every single Google employee says this, so you know it's a piece of PR that they've been told to say. Every single Google employee uses this phrase. Whatever they're asked, do you guys use user clicks in search? Well, user clicks are very noisy. It's a very noisy signal. They all say that. Every single one says it's noisy. Gary Ilias, John Mueller, Andrew Lepatsev, Paul Haar, the other guy that they just did an article about. He's a developer in the engineering team and in the PR team. They say, well, it's all very noisy. They've all been told to say that it's all very noisy. Of course, Google can do it. It doesn't matter if it's noisy. Google can do anything. They got the smartest engineers in the world being paid the most money. They can do it. If NASA can put someone on the moon for far less money, they can figure out whether or not users are satisfied or not. It's not hard for them to do. And yes, they can see all the information. I've released how exactly in my previous videos. Email me and I'll tell you exactly how they can see this information. I don't think there's anyone out there who honestly believes they can't see it anymore. If you do, well then, good luck. Good luck, buddy, because they can. So, what are some of these static factors? Well, here they are here. Again, you can see the full list on my website. In short, you want to make sure the users are satisfied. And you want to have all the professional finishings and legitimate business signals. You want to be shared, liked, and reviewed, and rated, and outlinks to authorities. Don't have a boring blog. Don't have stuffed keywords in your title tags and your title attributes and your alt attributes and your blog. I cannot tell you this. Yes, you listening to this. Does he mean me with my blog with the internal links that are exact match? Yes, you. Don't do that. Don't have a bad reputation out there for the bad merchant algorithm. Don't annoy users with pop-ups and ads. Make sure you cloak your affiliate links if at all possible. Don't have URL parameters in the navigation. That's a big one that John Mueller mentioned that no one else knows. Don't have URL parameters in your official navigation. Like, don't in your navigation dropdown have a page that's like whatever.com / equals blah. They don't like URL parameters in navigation. They see that as a symbol of low quality, and you don't want to have a bad design, a bad HTML or a bad design. Okay, if you have any more questions about this, email me. Now let's get to paid links. Someone's stuffing you money under the table for paid links. Paid links, affiliate links, and advertorials, they're still looked for by Google's manual team. That includes questionable or borderline spam tactics in terms of pure spam penalties, or in terms of minor spam, things like that, on your page or pointing to your page. There's over 12,000 Google manual reviewers as of 2012, so they have the manpower to do it. They have both the paid link algorithm. There's an algorithm that goes out there and bubbles up suspicious looking links for them to look at. And there's also the spam form that bubbles up suspects for them to look at. And that's in red because it's going to become very important later on in the presentation. I'll explain. So this is how you want to avoid it. You want to, if at all possible, you want to avoid sidebar, footer, directory list, blog roll, sitemap, or compilation of sources, quote unquote, style links, either on your page or pointing to your page. Because you can get a manual action for any of these kinds of problems. They're likely to be devalued, and at worst, they trigger a manual action. So they're likely to be, not ignored, I said, no, they're likely to be devalued. I'll explain what that means. And at worst, they can trigger a manual action. Speaking of manual actions,
I've heard people say that
here's the manliest manual action.
too much of anything is
He's going to give manual actions on your links. How would you like him to penalize your site?
I don't know about that.
I'm sorry. It's all right. I got a little distracted there. Manual actions or penalties. There are tons of different kinds of manual actions that come from the manual web spam team. They're listed under Search Console and Search Traffic. I'm only going to go through. You have to have Search Console installed to see them. If you don't have Search Console installed, you can have an anchor on your site. You'll never know. I would strongly suggest to install it. The two most important are the unnatural link notices. The one is the action versus site versus the action versus links. So you have a natural link penalty versus the site, or you can have an unnatural link penalty versus the links. If you have an unnatural link penalty versus the site, and I'll tell you in Search Console, if you have the unnatural link penalty versus the site, you have to delete the links. You have to show good faith that you'll never do it again in your letter. You have to disavow the rest of the links that look spammy or look suspicious, and then you have to submit for reconsideration, right? You have to make them believe in your letter you'll never do it again. Oh, I heard SEO. I don't even know what SEO is. What's even a website? I don't know. I'm just a dumb business owner. Oh, I have no idea. That's what you need to make them believe. You can get out. I've got many sites out before. You can get out, even spammy kind of like low quality sites I've gotten out before, like herbal Viagra sites. I've gotten them out of unnatural link notices. You can do it. You can get out if you only had one manual penalty. If I've only penalized you once, but herbal Viagra site. Never mind. Sorry, never mind. Sorry, I've been doing this for too long. You can get out the versus site. However, if you get the natural link notice versus links, you have to do nothing. It's just a warning to change. Do not go deleting your links if you have the link penalty versus links. So you have to pay very close attention to what they send you in Search Console. You have to do nothing against that. It's just a warning to change. You never want to disavow your links at all unless you have the manual action versus site. All right, duplication. Duplicate content penalty. Is there a duplicate content penalty? No, there's no such thing as duplicate content penalty, but as I said before, there are two problems with duplicate content. It forces Google to choose which page to rank. However, they are getting much better at determining this, at least in English. In other languages, like Italian, for example, a colleague contacted me from Italy, and they're still got scrapers scraping his site pretty hardcore, clearly scraping his site, and Google hasn't caught on to this yet. So in other languages, the scrapers are still working pretty well, but in English, they are getting a little bit better. Not perfect, but better at determining this. And John Wheeler has admitted they trust sites with duplicate content less. Now, I've noticed this is even getting reduced a little bit. They're really not concerned about duplicate content. And if your site really is kind of a good site that they think is good for the best site about XYZ, even if you have some duplicate content, they might even rank you for it. They don't really care at the end of the day. They're just trying to give the best site and the best page to users. And if all their other signals tell them this is the best site or best page on topic XYZ for people who are looking for XYZ, then they don't care if you have duplicate content. They might rank you for it anyway. So it's becoming less important, but still it can be important. So make sure you watch your canonical tags, your tag pages. You don't have tag pages on your site because it could have or word clouds, things like that, because that's keyword stuffing. For the most part, that's a problem. But it also could be a problem from duplicate, because anytime you make Google have to decide what to do, they like you less. Easier you make it for Google, the more that you're clearly about topic XYZ with no canonical issues and no technical issues and no speed issues, and clearly about it, and you have robust information, the more they're going to want to rank you for XYZ, as opposed to everybody else who has some speed problems or is making them deal with some duplicate content or those kinds of things. If you make it easy for Google, they'll make it easier on you. So here's some tips. I'll go through them really quickly. You can use fetch and render in Search Console to make sure they spider your content first. You can use right-click, copy, paste, and view source blockers so the easy people just can't copy and paste your text. You can use Copyscape to find the copiers. I would use batch search in that tool. It's very, very good. You can file a DMCA request with Google. You can maintain an accurate sitemap in Search Console that will, again, tell Google, they'll spider you on a more regular basis. But you can't really boost your crawl budget with them. You could just tell them that, hey, this page was on our website first. And finally, you can just rewrite the content, especially if it's poorly performing. Go ahead and rewrite it. You can add in videos and images. An image is always a good quality signal for an information page. Not required, but it's often good if it's about the content. And it's not making people bounce because it's a big, huge image and they can't find what they're looking for. Did you know you can have like little factoid cutouts and blocks that come up, little parts of the content. Anything that breaks it up and has like an interesting fact. Also, you can have a program that changes the pages to flip in factoid blocks that keeps it fresh, right? That's also a nice little tip or trick. If you have a PHP script that every day puts in a random setting of like 100 different factoid blocks, 3 of them on the page that changes your content on a regular basis, Google's spider will come back more regularly and it'll have more content on there. And it could be robust content that people like. So it'll keep it fresh and you'll get a little boost from the QDF algorithm right there. So that's another really good tip or trick. Okay, and finally, last but not least, probably what you all want to hear was the new information on the new Penguin 4. The nice and cuddly bruiser Penguin 4. I say nice and cuddly with a question mark. Everyone thinks it's this cakewalk now. I'm going to tell you the reason why it's not, or how this is a big bouncer, a big bruiser penguin. Actually, it's even worse than you think. This penguin is worse than all the previous penguins put together. How could that possibly be? I will tell you. Okay, first off, what is Penguin? Penguin 4, or what's also called Penguin Real Time now, Penguin RT, is still what they call their web spam or their over-optimization algorithm. August 3rd, September 3rd or so, they removed all the previous Penguins 1 to 3. At least that's what they claim they did. I asked John Mueller point blank to his face, did you guys remove all the previous Penguin 1 to 3 sites? He gave me a reserved yes. So he could have been lying to me because I've come up to some sites that look like they still definitely have some Penguin issues, even though supposedly it's all been removed. But I'll take John at his word for now, and that's all you can do. And he says, yes, all the Penguin 1 to 3 sites have been released. So you should not still have a Penguin 1 to 3 site that's been penalized. And they said, so August 3rd to September 3rd, they released all the Penguin 1 to 3. They tested Penguin 4 a couple times. And they also, both John Mueller and Gary Ilyish has admitted that there are other algorithms that are part of Penguin 4. Penguin 4 is a multi-algorithm beast. And so what those other algorithms are, we don't know. You have to pay attention. But I think there's some trust algorithms in there, trying to see if they can trust you, trust your links, maybe the times they were placed, maybe the order they were placed, maybe what was going on your site, maybe if you get a link penalty and you try and disavow, they're watching some things, trying to determine if, social engineering kind of determine if you are a black hatter or if you're just getting native SEO. Penguin 4 itself was officially released by them September 22nd or 23rd. It now runs in true real time. It runs after a link is spidered. So when they're processing a link for PageRank, they also check to see if it looks spammy to them, and if it does, they'll put a Penguin 4 label on it. And it also works on off-page spam and on-page overall optimization, and on-page optimization too. Possibly, I have some evidence to show that, and John Mueller has also said that although it's mostly links, it has an on-page component. John Mueller always says it has an on-page component. So I think that means it's the connection of the backlinks to the on-page. If I have all my links, say buy red apples, and I'm sending it to the buyredapples.html page, that's the kind of page that would get, looks too spammy and would now get a Penguin real-time label. And like I said, it puts a quote-unquote label on your backlink. And what is that? I'll talk about that in a second. And when it puts the label on your backlink, it only devalues the link, meaning it takes any link juice out of the link. That link is removed from your link graph, so to speak. Penguin 4 no longer demotes. It no longer gives you a penalty. Or at least it's not supposed to give you a penalty. So it doesn't automatically demote you. But there's still a problem with it, guys. It does risk triggering a manual review. So this is why Penguin 4 is actually worse than all the other penguins put together. Let me explain to you why this is. You calling me a liar? You saying I'm lying? No, I have proof for this. Let me show you the proof. So here we have Gary Ilyish, who is a Google Webmaster Trends Analyst who works in the Zurich office with John Mueller. They both work in the same office over there in Switzerland. And Gary Ilyish and John Mueller are pretty much their two biggest PR people. And Gary Ilyish was being interviewed by Search Engine Land by Barry Schwartz and Danny Sullivan. So Barry Schwartz asked him, is there some, and he was obviously prompted to ask this question, otherwise he wouldn't have asked. So this is what Google wants us to know. He said, is there some sort of flag that happens automatically so that the manual action team is notified that, hey, there's a devalue going on here by Penguin? And Gary Ilyish says yes. Basically, we have tons of link labels. For example, it's a footer link. Basically, that has a lot lower value than an in-content link. Remember I told you about footer links to avoid them if at all possible? They still have some value, but if you have exact match footer links like web design by Josh's web design company, and you're trying to rank for web design, and that's the anchor text in a footer, I guarantee to you that will be a problem that you don't want to do. Anyway, getting back to what Gary Ilyish said, I decided to mention that aside because it's some good evidence for it. He says, then another label would be the Penguin real-time label. And if they, the manual spam team, if they see that most links are Penguin real-time labeled, then they might actually take a deeper look and see what the content owner is trying to do. He goes on further to say, if the manual actions team is reviewing a site for whatever reason, and they see that most of the links are labeled as Penguin RT, then they might decide to take a much deeper look on the site and see what's up with those links and what could be the reason those links exist, aka did you buy them or not, or place them, and then maybe apply a manual action on the site because of the links. Because of the links. So, you might think your PBN or your bought backlinks and your purchased links and your placed links you've got over the many, many years, and just think back to the many, many years. You might think that they can fool an algorithm, but do you think for a second that your obviously bought links can fool a human being who looks at this day in and day out and does not like you or like his job or care and is quite ready to push the flush button on your website? Do you honestly think that your backlinks can survive a manual review? You tell me. But you say, what about, so this here is telling me that this is what they're saying, guys. They're warning you. This is a tongue-in-cheek warning that, yeah, we can't tell. This is why Penguin 4 took so long to come out. Is because, and Matt Cutts told this to me to my face when I had a private conversation with him a few years ago, that the reason why they're having such trouble with Penguin and it takes so long to come out is because they can't get rid of the negative SEO. And Gary Ilyish admitted this recently to Danny Sullivan at one of the SMXs, West or Advanced, I can't remember which one it was, that the reason why Penguin 4 is taking so long to come out, and it took over a year for them to bring it out, is because they can't algorithmically, at the end of the day, there's no way to algorithmically determine if you went onto Fiverr and you bought some crappy backlinks or your competitor went onto Fiverr and bought you some crappy backlinks. At the end of the day, there's no way they can tell that. So they gave up. So they tried to do it for algorithmically for over a year, and they said, okay, fine, we're going to give up. So all we're going to do is the new Penguin. We've got to people are complaining and whining complaining about Penguin 1 to 3, and these Penguin 1 to 3 sites have been penalized for well over a year now. So all the people who make a little bit of money, they're out of business by now, and all the mid really hurting. They've laid off some people, and the bigger companies are still bitching and moaning about it. So what we'll do, okay, fine, we'll be the good guys, and we'll release all the Penguin 1 to 3 sites. That's what they did. That's the first thing they did. They released Penguin 1 to 3 sites a couple months prior, testing it out, and then tested the algorithm a couple times. And then they released out Penguin 4, the real-time algorithm, and basically it's the same. They already had a linking algorithm that would automatically ignore links fed by the disavow file. So the disavow file, they machine learn what a spammy looking link is, and anything that is like, if your links look like what most people put in their disavow file, then your links have a Penguin 4 real-time label on them now. So just think what SEOs typically think looks like a spammy link. If that's what your link profile looks like, then you're going to have Penguin 4 flags on them, labels on them, and they're going to get bubbled up to the manual team. This is Gary Ilyish saying, we can't figure out how to do negative SEO, so we need to have a human being look at it at the end of the day. And so that's what Penguin 4 is now. It's going to be, if you have, I don't know what it is, 10% of your links, 20, 30, 40, 50% of your links have a Penguin label on them, that's going to get bubbled up to the manual team, and maybe they might apply a manual action on the site because of the links that they find there, because of those Penguin 4 labels. That was their end game all along. So that's why I say, in 2017, you have to survive a manual review for your backlinks. Eventually, inevitably, they're going to get bubbled up to the manual team. The manual team's going to look at them. And you might say, well, no, Josh, that's not going to happen. Oh, if I have 5% Penguin flagged links, I'm not going to have a problem. Well, maybe, maybe not. We'll see about that in a second after I show you the next thing I want to show you. It gets worse, people. It gets worse. Now, you might be saying, well, what about the disavow file? Can't I use the disavow file to escape this? Well, I have a video proving it does not work from 8 separate Penguin 4 era experiments. When Penguin 4 came out and when they're testing it and playing around with it, I have 8 sites that clients had already used disavows, despite my better judgment, despite my recommendation not to. They did it anyway, and they left me on their Search Console, and so I can see them doing it. and so I see them doing this stuff, right? I won't share who they are. But despite my better judgment, despite my suggestions never to use the disavow file, unless you have a manual action versus site, this is the only time to use it. I have a video proving from 8 separate experiments that it does not work. I have 8 separate sites tried it, and I show how it didn't work for any of them. And here's the URL here. Go ahead and check it out. I'm not going to repeat the URL. You can go ahead and just pause the video and write this down and check it out. Cough, cough. You know, if you think that the disavow will work, you know, I'm speaking specifically to people at Moz who like to do this kind of stuff. Maybe there was a video I did before that wasn't so well received by them, where I tried to warn people ahead of time that this is what was going to happen. You know, not that I'm bitter or anything. However, I also have a recent Google employee admitting that the disavow won't work either. And let me tell you how I came by this information and how I interpret it. Check it out. Gary Ilyish continues on in this interview to say, so the disavow is again basically just a label internally. It's just a label internally. That's all the disavow is. It's basically just a label internally. It's applied on the links and anchors. And he goes on to say, and I'll be fair, I'll even read this part out. He goes on to say, you could have a link like from whitehouse.gov, and it has labels Penguin Real-Time, Footer, and Disavow. So you see how it would look for them, right? They're looking in their package, and the links are going to be like, this has been disavowed, and it's a Penguin link, and it's also a footer link. And so they're making, he said footer there, remember? So that's going to trigger a manual action if you have too many footer label links too. And then they, the web spam team, would see that. They would know that the webmaster or content owner is actively tackling those links. So he goes on to say some other stuff. Notice what he does not say here. He does not say that that means they won't give you a penalty if you use the disavow. And this is no guarantee they will trust you and not give you a penalty. Do you think the manual team cares if you use a disavow file? Do you think the manual web spam team talks to the webmaster trends analyst in the Zurich office? No, they're 2 different departments. I don't know, you can trust Google all you like. I don't trust Google. This is no guarantee that they will trust you and not give you a penalty. So, how do you avoid Penguin 4? Well, this is how I would avoid it. 1, you want to remove all the on-page keyword repetition. You know, it's one of the factors that seems to look spammy and trigger the correlation of a Penguin label. So, and I have a client who recently removed some on-page keyword repetition. He was really double spammed in his title. He had like the red apple pipe kind of old ye olde tag. He removed that, and on the Penguin 4 day, September 22nd or 23rd, he jumped up, a huge jump up. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That could just be correlation. That could be coincidence. But that was an interesting correlation that he jumped up on that time. It also might be some evidence to show that it does demote. You know, they say it doesn't demote. Maybe it does. They could be lying about that as well. And also, John Mueller says you should always remove your on-page keyword optimization, over-optimization, when it comes to Penguin discussions as well. You can delete your backlinks. That's coming from John Mueller that you think are going to be a problem. But I would not bother doing that now. That's not something that you want to do. So that's what John Mueller says to do, but not what you want to do. Let me explain that why in a second. You could 404 delete the target page. That's going to drop the link from the link graph as well. But again, there's no need for you to do that. Or just don't build risky links in the first place. Essentially, that's it. Essentially, you either want to have no on-page keyword repetition or just don't build risky links in the first place. What you don't want to do is don't ever use the disavow unless you have received the manual action versus site in your search console. Disavowing will not help you. I have dozens and dozens of experiments over the years showing it doesn't help, and I have 8 experiments showing recently it doesn't help for Penguin 4. It does not help you. It will most likely only hurt you. Most sites that disavow go down in rankings. The vast majority of sites that go down in disavow go down in rankings. How confident am I in this statement? This is how confident I am in this statement. I will pay you $1,000 if you can show me a recovery from a disavow alone with no link loss and no manual action. I repeat, I will pay $1,000 to anybody out there who can show a recovery. I want you to share this with all your friends. I want you to go out there and say, oh, Josh Bachynski said this. I want you to share this with all your friends and try to dig somebody up. Retweet this, get this out there. Try to get dig somebody up, and I will pay them $1,000 to anyone who can show a recovery from a disavow alone. A disavow alone with no link loss and no manual action. This is what they have to show. They have to show that they got links, they got some kind of unannounced demotion, so not like some kind of announced demotion from Barry Schwartz or their search console, some kind of unknown huge link, some penalty. They got links, got some kind of penalty, totally unannounced. They disavowed the links, and then the rankings returned after a few days after the links were crawled. 5 to 10 days after the links were crawled. It should be actually just 2 to 3 days after the links are crawled if it works the way that these people think it works. And then the rankings more or less returned, not on a bulk date where everyone else got there was an announced algorithm release, because then we can't tell it was a disavow. That's what they need to show. If they can show that, and there was no link loss, they didn't lose any links, so it wasn't like link deletion, so you deleted the crappy links that were hurting you, and then you got bounced out, because that's not a disavow. If they can show that, I will pay them 1,000 crisp US dollars. So go ahead and share that with everybody. If you are so confident in it, put your money where your mouth is, because I am. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm saying it does not exist. The disavow does not help you. The only time it helps you is when you have a manual action versus site, and even then it'll only help you if they believe you're totally incompetent and can't delete those links, and someone is essentially holding your site ransom. Okay, and last but not least, negative SEO is the last thing I'm going to cover today, guys. I'm using the Darth Vader picture now because I used the Emperor in 2015. I used Kylo Ren in 2016. I'm using Darth Vader because he's going to be on Rogue One. Sorry, fanboyed out there a second. So, negative SEO. As happy as I am about Rogue One, I'm very unhappy about negative SEO because it's even worse in the Penguin 4 era. Here's the other reason why you're going to have a manual review no matter what you do. Here's why. Because this one could hypothetically do this. Link-based negative SEO is now terrible in Penguin 4. You think they solved it? No, they did not. This is all you do. You see what page your competitor is trying to rank for. You spam the correct way with SENuke or GSA exact match query anchor text for a few months. Right? So on my buyredapples.html page, you send a bunch of SENuke or GSA links to it that say buy red apples. You let Penguin pointing directly to the page. You let that run for a few months. In theory, Penguin 4 should automatically be picking those up. Then what you do is you report it to the web spam forum. You go to Google's web spam forum. Gary Ilyish has already admitted, and I quote, that 60% of the web spam forum submissions are acted upon. I repeat, Gary Ilyish has already admitted that 60% of the web spam forum submissions are acted on. So that means you have about a 60% chance of getting them a manual penalty. right? Or at least 60% chance of the manual team going, well, these links look awfully suspect, and you want to make it really look like they were doing it, couple that with a bunch of runs of on-page comment spam on their site. If they have open comments on their site, then you go and buy a Fiverr blast of people going on to that and being like, if they're trying to rank for buy red apples on that page, you'll be like, oh, make a comment. I bought red apples with these guys. Buying red apples with them was fantastic. This is definitely the page to buy red apples on. And have like 100 comments like that be submitted. That's definitely going to be very, very bad for them. This is why you're going to have to deal with manual actions, because the P4 label on their backlinks is either going to bubble up to the manual team automatically, which I suspect that's what's going to happen. That's why Gary Ilyish warned us about it. Otherwise, he wouldn't warn us about it. Or your competitor is going to put you in the web spam form anyway. So sadly, this is what's going to happen. It's terrible. I'm saying hypothetically one could do this. I'm not trying to give people information how to negative SEO each other, because I find it, it's a little dirty. It's kind of greasy to do this. But hey, if you're in a greasy industry already, someone's probably already doing it to you. So get your machine gun out and start firing back. And if you do this for all your competitors on the SERP, you have a 60% chance of getting each one. So you get maybe 6 of them statistically out. You only have 4 left to deal with. That should drastically change the SERP. Here's the other kind of negative SEO you can do, which is, again, very depressing. You can report them to John Mueller. You can go on there, be a good-looking young lady, be on there for 6 months, and say, John, I need help. I don't understand how this works. And he's very happy to explain it to you. And then say, oh, this site is spamming. This site is doing wrong things. Here, let me send it to you. And then he'll be, all right, fine, I'll take a look. Tell him there's something really weird about it. You can't figure it out, and then he'll take a look. And then that is a good, sure way to get someone at Google looking at it. You can do a denial of service attack on them to produce a 500 level error. If you do that enough in a 24-hour period, they get dropped from the rankings entirely. And I have it on very good authority from a very good friend in the SEO community that the pages don't necessarily come back to where they were. You can link to non-existent pages on their site by making tens of thousands of fake URLs with the URL parameter, or even with the hash parameter for like anchors or whatever. And you can make those keywords on their site, and make it. You can over-optimize them. You can make it about child porn. You can make it about Viagra, and you can make, if they're answering, essentially this is making pages on their site that don't exist. Every time you change the URL, it's a new page, and you're linking to these new URLs. You just fire up SENuke or GSA and do the same thing, and make non-existent pages on their site. And this could get them all penguin flagged. This could also be a Panda problem. I know for a fact this is a Panda problem. If they only have a 1,000-page site and you make 20,000 quote-unquote pages on their site as far as Google's concerned, let the server respond 200 to these non-existent pages that have keywords like child porn or Viagra or like buy red apples or best red apples or red apple site, red apples, red apples, red apples, red apples, and they're trying to rank for red apples and buy red apples. I guarantee that's going to be a problem for them. So there's specific ways to deal with this. You need to have a canonical tag on every page, canonically back all URL parameters back to a main page. Then they're probably helping you and not hurting you, except for the Penguin 4 flags. And or just respond 404 or any request like that. Don't serve 200 on pages that don't exist. You can give them bad reviews and ratings on both their site and on other sites. That's definitely a problem that it shows up in a number of different ways. You can attack their good backlinks. You can call them up, their backlinks, and say, hey, link to me. I have a better resource. Or you can report them to the web spam form, get them, or say these people are selling links, these people are buying links, and report them to the web spam form. You can spam their comments and posts. That's definitely a Panda problem with the keywords or with spammy link outs to trying to get links and things like that. That's definitely a Panda problem. John Mueller has mentioned that many, many times. And more. Unfortunately, there's tons of more ways you can negative SEO people. It's incredibly depressing. How do you defend yourself against it? Well, here's what you do. Tell John Mueller first. If you figure that your competitors are going to do this against you, or they're scraping you, or they're doing things against you, go to John Mueller and tell them and say, hey, John, they're trying to do negative SEO against me. I want you and the web spam team to know this ahead of time. And I've seen people do this, and you go to Gary Ilyish, and you tweet Gary Ilyish, and you tell Andrew Lepatsev, and you tell all the top contributors, the Google top contributors, like Matt Storms and people like that you can find, and you tell them, hey, you go to their Webmaster Trends forum, and you say, hey, people are trying to negative SEO me. I didn't build these links. I want Google to know about it ahead of time. That could be a good way that if it trickles to the manual spam team and they know about it, that could be a good way to do it. But don't go there and say this, and then also you've been doing black hat SEO for the last 10 years. Because then they'll take a look into your situation, and then that could backfire on you. So that could be a good way to defend yourself, but don't let it come back and bite you in the ass. You want to make sure you keep your WordPress and your plugins updated so they can't hack you. WordPress and plugins are commonly hacked. So you have to have it up to date and secure. A domain with a history of spam is more susceptible. Like I said, if you've been doing black hat SEO for 10 years, you're way more susceptible. This is the way Google thinks about it. Yes, here's how they get away by saying that they've never seen any credible cases of negative SEO. John Mueller admitted the other day that I've never seen any credible cases of negative SEO because all the sites are getting negative SEO. Well, they've already been doing black hat SEO for 5 years. So do the math, people. That means that they don't care if you get negative SEO if you're equally guilty of doing black hat SEO, which is basically everybody. So that's why they say there's no such thing as negative SEO. There's no such thing as far as they're concerned, it's very, very rare for a site that has never done a black hat SEO to suddenly get negative SEO. Although I have had a site exactly like that, actually. And it does work. So there is negative SEO. Trust me, it comes from links. It comes from all these different things. You definitely can do it. And you want to terminate the search more and better. Quite frankly, as I said before, even if you have other issues, Google will often rank useful sites, sites that are the site, like the awesomest, best site for XYZ, that is so useful to people, and they can easily tell that. They will rank those sites in spite of their other issues. In spite of their other issues. And you've seen it before. There's tons of these sites out there that don't rank for head terms, but they rank for all these kinds of awesome long tail terms, and they rank for other head terms and other things. That's because they have a quality problem, but Google's like, well, they're still very useful to us for these other queries, and so we're going to rank them for that. And then finally, forget the links. Forget links and doing all that kind of stuff. Have the signals that your enemies are ignoring or they can't fake as easily. Have 1,000 people searching you out a month and going to your site and coming back and terminating the search and making purchases there or using the site. And clearly you're the best resource for XYZ. It's really hard for anyone to negative SEO you if you're so successful and so useful in that regard. So as I said, if you can be the site, you can beat the brand. So here's my final review, guys. If you can be this site, you can beat the brands. This is how the brands become the brands, because they are the site looking for the thing. So here's the most important thing. The most important thing in 2017 is on-page content. So like I said, you want the topic in the page name. You want the topic or the keyword in the title. You want the topic or the keyword in the H1 and every 200 words in the content if it's an information page. If it's not, you don't need to add 200 words. You want a high click-through rate on that page. You want to have better conversions than everybody else. Aim for super high conversions, and you want to have schema on that page to talk about whatever you're about. If it's a product page, say it's a product page. If it's a blog page, say it's a blog page. Don't use the H entry schema, H-E-N-T-R-Y, H entry or hentry. You don't want that schema because that is a schema only for, or the H atom, because that's schema for atom RSS feeds. You're telling Google your syndicated content, that's not what you want. So you want the pages properly dressed up and properly on-page SEO on an awesome site, a big, good-looking, sexy, fast site. That's the most important thing. That is the most important thing in 2017. The second most important thing in 2017 is user metrics. Is people searching you in Google, more the better. They click through on your site and they go to your page. And so you get traffic from Google, that's starting the search. You also get traffic from all these other places, from Facebook, Twitter, all Pinterest, Reddit, Google+, whatever else. All the other Vimeo, YouTube, all the other quote-unquote small, these are huge, all the other quote small social networks and other social networks, you want that traffic going to your site and converting there as well, and bookmarking you and saving all the signals Google can tell that you're an awesome site. That's the second most important thing. And then finally, the third most important thing in 2017 SEO is you want the topical references. You want the social shares, you want the do follow links, yes, but I would go for no follow and text mentions first. You want social shares, you want this parties on your social profile, and you want all the ratings and reviews from as many different sites, big quality authority sites, as many ratings and reviews from authority sites and mentions on authority sites that you can get. The more you can do that, the more you will kick ass in 2017. So that's the end of my 2017 SEO course. If I have some more super advanced stuff, I can show you. I also have my SEO Bible that can be provided. There's all kinds of services and all kinds of SEO help I can give you. If you have, but if you just want to ask a question, that's free. If you want to just simply ask me an SEO question, by all means, send me an SEO question at joshbachynski@gmail.com. I'd be more than happy to help out. I can diagnose any SEO problem. I can fix any SEO issue. I've ranked hundreds of pages on page 1. I can definitely help you out there. So again, thanks very much for watching my course. And if you have any questions, send me an email. And as always, my friends, good luck in the SERPs.